Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Vishwagatu and this is VG Studios. If you're new here, I make short and concise Python tutorials to teach my viewers the basics of Python. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and subscribe. Thanks. In my last video, we talked about loops in Python, namely the while and for loops. We also talked about the input function and its significance in Python. Today, we shall talk about functions. It was already covered in my fourth tutorial, right? Well, this is functions part 2. In this, we shall cover more about functions and how we can use them in Python. Also, we shall soon get to object-oriented programming, OOP, which is a very integral part of not only Python, but coding as a whole. And we shall be using functions in it, so please pay close attention to this topic and feel free to drop any questions on this topic. So without any further ado, let's get started. Firstly, for this chapter, we need to assume that functions are black boxes, and all the values that we input into a function are put into this black box and are taken out after the function has been executed. For example, if we're using the round function and we say round 2.456, 2, we're putting these values into the black box round function, and we take out the rounded value from this function. Here, the values being input into the function are known as arguments of the function call. There can be functions with multiple, even no arguments. The output that is given by the function is known as its return value, and every function only returns one value. We can use functions to return multiple values too, but we shall cover these later on. A common mistake people make is assuming that the value printed by the function is the returned value, but it actually isn't. The printed value is just a part of the function execution, and the returned value shall be assigned to the point where the function was first called. For example, amount is equal to round 3.2446, 2 returns the function value to the variable amount. Hence, we can visualize a function like this. This may make you wonder if you can use only pre-made functions in Python or you can make your own functions too. Well, you can actually make your own functions in Python, and you can use these in your program, which is amazing because you won't have to input the same set of instructions several times, and you can just use one function for all your needs. In order to make your function though, you'll first need to define it, and this is done like this. Define my function. Now if you are to create your own function, for example, a code to find the area of a square, you will need to follow the following steps. Firstly, you need to pick a name for the function. For example, in my case, I'll use def sqarea, meaning square area. You should declare variables that you'll be using in the function. These are called the parameters of the function. In this case, we can use the side length as a variable for the function. Hence, this forms the first line of the function's definition. Def sqarea of side length. Now simply defining the function does not tell the computer what to do. Hence, we have to add instructions that need to be executed while running the function. In this case, we can say area is equal to side length squared and return area. To test this function, we can call it like this: area1 is equal to sqarea of 4. Now if we print area1, we'd get our answer. In this code, the return statement at the end of the function is what brings the value of the area out of the function back to where the function was called, while the rest of the variables shall be local variables. We shall learn about what that means a little later. Next, we shall learn about the main function. In Python, we find it easier to place all of our functions in one place in our code, and this place is known as the main function. By convention, we usually start the program with a main function in which all of the functions are called, and this is followed by the definitions of all of other functions, and then of course we should call the main function at least once. Usually a function should be defined in the program before we call it, as the compiler goes through line after line and it won't recognize a function before it was even defined. However, We can call a function in the definition of another function as long as we call the latter after the definition of the sub-functions. For example, we can't do this, but instead we can do this. I would love to talk about more, but I promise to make short videos to aid with your understanding. Therefore, we shall go quickly through today's bonus section, and we shall continue from here in the next video. So today's bonus section shall be about parameter passing. This is when we use an argument as the parameter of a function. For example, we can have a variable named sidelength already declared, and then we can assign the value 4 to it. If we define a function square area using this variable, it shall use the value 4 as opposed to having to enter the value when calling the function. A useful tip to follow here is to avoid modifying the parameter variable in the function. It is always easier to add a new variable and modify that instead of changing a parameter of the function itself. For example, instead of, you can do this. So today we learned about, firstly, functions, arguments and parameters, function definition and return statements, the main function, and finally, parameter passing. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked it, please don't forget to like, subscribe and comment on this video. And if you feel it's useful to someone else, you can go ahead and share it with anyone you know. Thank you.